Hello, everybody, and welcome to another book look for the last week of January. This is Andy Smith, your host with the most and 34-year veteran of the comic book industry. Let's dive into it. You know, book looks, for those just new, I grab a book off my shelf, I go through it page by page, and then if it's something you like, you know what it looks like, you can go buy it or just reference this channel. So this week, how to paint characters the Marvel Studios way. If you like the Marvel Studios characters and their visual development department like I do, you will like this book. Here we have a list of some of the main players. Actually, these are the main players in their visual development department. Ryan Mennerding. I always screw it up. Anyhow, he started off the whole department. Charlie Wen, Andy Park, who I'm proud to say is a friend of mine, great artist, started out in comic books, working for Top Cow and stuff, and transitioned over to concept. Phil Saunders, Jackson Size, Rodney Fuentebella, Anthony Francisco, Carla Ortiz, and Adi Granoff, who's also done comic book work. These guys have developed such a great visual style. In this book, is going to take you into some of the techniques they use for painting. Nice little bios on everybody. Andy Park, Tomb Raider, Uncanny X-Men. He joined the visual development team at Marvel in 2010, 15 years ago. Some of the early stuff he did was for Sony games, God of War. That's where I first started seeing his visual development stuff. Rodney, Jackson, Anthony, Phil Saunders, Carla, and Adi Granoff. Look at it. I love this stuff. Talking about, you know, a lot of what goes into it. Andy Park, the individual artist, talking about their path and stuff and what it's like working there. Here we go. These are by Andy Park. Man, just love this painting, digital painting technique. Tools of the trade, of course, Photoshop, of course. A lot of artists that have action figures on their desks with numerous points of articulation, and while they are fans of Marvel characters and enjoy decorating their offices with collectibles that are not just for show, Posable Reference can assist you in visualizing poses quickly and effectively. Sets of posable mannequin figurines can be purchased at art supply stores relatively inexpensively, which is true. Back when I was in art school, you just had that wood mannequin, which no anatomy, just basic shapes. Then I remember at CrossGen, I can't remember the name of the company, but they put out this plastic gray female and male mannequin that had anatomy and stuff and had a lot of points of articulation. That was pretty good. Now there's these figures that you can get that kind of feel like, unlike action figures where you can see the joints and where they move, these figures I'm talking about, you can't see them. They have almost this fleshy type feel over top the whole figure, and the anatomy is really on point, and you can move them and pose them. They make male figures, female figures. The male figures, if I remember correctly, have more varying body types, and they're great for lighting and stuff like that. So this is just going into like reference and stuff, mirror, of course, sketchbooks, you know, things like that. Software rendering tools to help render characters in 3 dimensions and stuff. Andy Park says, my first love and passion was traditional drawing and painting, but for my job, the preferred method of working is painting digitally in Photoshop. I also will use ZBrush at times. It's something that's become more and more necessary for artists in our field know and be comfortable with. After I do a painting, I'll often model the character in ZBrush to help me figure out the back and side views of the character. That's really cool. I don't own ZBrush. I used to have an old copy of it. I have a book on it. It is definitely not the easier sculpting program to learn. It's what a lot of guys use to do sculpting these days, digital sculpting. Most guys for toys don't do it by hand like they used to. They use ZBrush. The nice thing is, and I've learned this from the first man figure I had sculpted in ZBrush from somebody in KOR-DRATH, you sculpt just the generic straight on shot of the characters, you know, arm down by the side, standing straight up and down. And once you get that figured out, you can go and impose it. So that's pretty cool. Oh, so nice. Rendering the real. So a lot of text in this book. I haven't looked at this book in years, but one of the things I remember is lots of text and not enough showing, which I would like more show and tell, you know, because it is a how-to book. Now this is cool. You know, you can see the different stages here. Still missing some, like there's a stage before this. I think it would have been nice to show. This is talking about tonal. If you get your stuff down in grayscale, adding color to it, it'll always work. I also don't know if they go into the type of brushes they use. This is really cool because I believe this is Ryan doing this. You know, this obviously isn't finished by any means right here, and it looks like Bucky holding the shield. But even at this stage, you're like, my God, what type of figure photo reference did he use? And you can see he's just building it up with his own drawing knowledge. This was probably done in ZBrush. And it's great because you can turn it and see it at every angle and such. Research, of course. Once again, the book is called How to Paint Characters the Marvel Studios Way. I understand that there's a research phase, but if the name of the book is How to Paint Characters, you need to show me a lot more on actual painting. Who knows? It's been a few years since I looked at it. Maybe there is. Classic Captain America by Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, Linnell Francis Yu, and then one of the great paintings by Ryan, I believe, right here. So, you know, it's true. You need to dive into the history of these characters so you, one, can get kind of a design idea of where to go from, and you should know the characters you're working on. This is nice. So you can see photo reference here on the left. And talk about going all out. Got the helmet, jacket. I mean, that's doing the research there. But at this point in the book, I'm like, okay, what am I going to start seeing how to paint this way? Because that's what I want to know how to do. Oh, that's probably from that shot where I said Bucky, he had the sleeve ripped off. That's why I thought that was weird. And then old shield and stuff. Love that. Now, this is more about character design. All right, production process. Let's see if we get into to it. So this takes from the initial assignment, brainstorming different visuals and such. Cool, cool. When do we get into seeing some painting techniques? We're up to page 50 now. Okay, not yet. I know we're going to get there. Okay, fabrication, that's making the stuff. This is how to paint characters. Don't care that much about the fabrication. Character development step by step. Maybe this will do it. Because what I want to know is, I don't know if it's showing up. There's this great texture on the costume. And like, I know how to do digital painting. Not anywhere near as good as this, but I want to know how you do these textures. I should probably just search YouTube for it. Okay, so Iron Man, cool. initial sketches, stuff like, okay, nice, nice. Where's the beginning stages of showing how to paint? Even though this is just how to paint. I don't even care if they just start with this and show me the digital painting process in like 10 separate steps, because it's not a drawing book. It's how to digitally paint. So cool. You don't have to show all the drawing steps, but so far, okay, still waiting. By the way, my favorite armor right here. Love that. I mean, my favorite armor, technically, from the comics is the 1980s run of John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton. But in the movies, I really dig that. Okay, continued evolution. Oh, okay, cool. Where you get some painting steps here. This is pretty much blocked in. Adding in some highlights, sketching in the Black Widow figure. Wow, that's a big jump from that Black Widow figure to this one. And then, okay, that's quite a big jump. Oh, well, hold on. There's got to be some text on how he did. Oh, there's not. Guys, if you're doing a book, how to digitally paint, I need to see text below each one of these explaining the different steps. All right, Captain America. Let's see if Ryan does a good job explaining the digital painting technique. Materials, form, right? Variations, yep. Classic costume, sure. Goggles, shield, helmet, right? Okay, where's the steps on how to paint? Nothing yet. I mean, once again, this book is beautiful to look at, but from a digital, how to digitally paint, I'm up to page 72. We saw some steps finally with the Iron Man and Black Widow, but no text on below on like type of brushes you want to use, doing flats first, like flat the character or gray tone the character first. This is all stuff we need to know out of the gate, guys, out of the gate. Outlining, expression, identity. Okay, this book is more about how to do character design and what the Marvel Viz Dev team does to design characters, what they look for and stuff like that, not how to paint. Because, we have yet seen steps in painting. Black Widow, Andy Park, fantastic work, of course. Beautiful stuff, love it. What I'm waiting for is how do they, once again, how was it done? Where are the individual steps? And I don't fault any of the artists that are in this book because they're not the editor. The editor should have outlined, if you're doing a book like this and you're the editor, you should do an outline of, okay, go through the reference, go through the tools that you use. And then I want to see a section from each one of you Viz Dev artists in the book, taking a character from blank canvas to finish. And I've got to see like 5 or 6 steps, starting with blank canvas, resolution that you work at, dimension of the canvas, what brushes you use, everything. Okay, more Viz Dev stuff. Okay, cool. All right, still trying. Okay, Thor's hammer. Cool. I love seeing all the variations of Thor's hammer. Very cool. Color key. Okay. All right, starting off, cool. But once again, guys, how to paint, how to digitally paint characters. Wait, let me see. Hold on. How to paint characters. Okay, I've yet to see any instruction on how to paint. It's all about how to design and the thought process, which I think is vitally important. But at the same time, I want to know you know, and I sound like a broken record, but I want to know what type of brushes in Photoshop each artist uses and what settings they use and, you know, how they think about color. Okay, page 108. Here we go. Designing a new look. So this is fine starting with this. This is not a how to draw book. It's a how to paint book. This is by Jackson Jackson Z. I don't know how to say it. You can see, you know, the basic underdrawing and stuff, really basic shapes and stuff, because they're trying to paint realistic looking figures, not comic book type. But for me, I like this because you can apply this stuff to any type of drawing style. So he starts, he's got a fade back there, you know, blocked in color. He's talking about the silhouette. He's blocking in some colors here, and he's starting with dark tones because you work dark to light. This is a pretty big jump from here to here. I would like to have seen a little more between, same with here to here. But he's just talking about lighting, which is important in the rim lighting, but I want to know, you know, how he did some of these textures and stuff. Design flow, I mean, that's important, cool. Huge jump from the previous stage to this one. And then boom, we get to the final. I mean, that's, you know, you definitely have to know stuff. And I'm not saying this book should be dumbed down for like total newbies, but I know Photoshop, but I don't know it this well. Textures. Let's see. When Ryan Coogler started on the Black Panther film, he wanted to make the suit feel more like a singular skin. He wanted to deviate a bit from the layered, woven look that we had started developing in Civil War. We had aimed more for Jack Kirby look to the character, but Coogler was interested in pushing the design more toward Brian Stelfreeze's more recent illustrations. It was an interesting direction to take. I was happy with the layered look that we had developed prior, and I was also a little worried that creating a skin-tight suit might present a design challenge that could inherently take away from the African components. Nice. I'm just reading through to see if there's anything. No, it's... Guys, I want to know how these textures are done, how you create them in Photoshop. And once again, I love the art in this book, but it does leave some to be desired in regards to the title of the book. It should be How to Design Characters, you know, the Marvel cinematic way. See what I'm saying? And that, like I said, I love seeing all these different weapon designs and stuff, but from a painting standpoint, it's not getting the point across. And I would also like to say I'm not disappointed in buying this book because I love art books, process stuff. So here we go. Doctor Strange, kind of the same, starting off basic, which is fine, just with tones, get the tonal range down. You can see the blocking of the face. It's more defined here, and of course, I'm sure on a separate screen or in the same screen, they have a shot of Benedict Cumberbatch open so they can get the facial reference just right, the look. Flow of lines. I mean, flow of lines goes into design, not how to paint. Distribution of details. I mean, selective highlights. That goes into painting. Color theory does, so that's cool. Thanos. So, I mean, this is cool, but, like, this is a book on painting. These should be huge. And there should be a big paragraph talking about the technique and the thought process going from this to how you rendered up to this point of the face to this point to the final. Andy Park, my buddy, worked on Captain Marvel. So I'd like to know even like the background. Did you use photo reference as a guide, as a layer, and then paint over top of it? You know, stuff like that. Different brushes used. Once again, you look at this and it's all about the different looks. That is design, not how to paint. I think the editor, I'm going to have to look back. I'm doing it right now. I want to know who the editor of this book was because I think they really failed at their job. Okay, book design is just who designed what the visuals of the inside of the book pages look like. Marvel Publishing, editor-in-chief, whatever. C.B. Cebulski had nothing to really do with this book. He's just getting a credit. Copyright. Book came out in 2019. Managing editor Dan Eddington, maybe? I mean, Dan, if you're the editor, as in what should be involved in this book and stuff, you failed. Sorry. I mean, I want to know, like, what, obviously, these guys work in lots of layers. So, like, this effect is on a different layer. How did you do it? What layer setting is it? It's not normal. It's not multiply. Is it hard light? You know, there's so many different layers that you can get this effect from. And that's the stuff I want to know. See, this is cool. Okay, 6, rough pose, sketch design, helmet redesign. This is 6, the rough pose. This is 7, sketch design. Okay. But the problem is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. So if you go, that goes here, this goes here, rough pose here? No, this is the rough pose. And then this is the sketch design. And I think that's cool, but these should be the large, important pieces. And he should be talking about the brushes he used and stuff like that. And then, this is cool. He tinted over the whole thing and he starts working it up here. That's a big jump from here to here. And I want to see, and it's not in this paragraph, what type of brushes, what are your brush settings, things like that. What are your layers set to? Like from here to here, it should say, I added a layer on multiply. I put this bluish type tone over top the whole thing as a unifying base color. From there, I added another layer to paint over with the reds. I did X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And then when it talks about the costume rendering, how do you get the texture and stuff like that that's in this final? A lot of it, and that's the editor's job. Like, let's say Andy does all this, and then Andy writes all this. Well, I've written a few how-to books, and the editor's job is to go back to you, basically, and say, this is great, but we need more explanation and what brushes you used and the stuff I've been talking about. That's what they did with me. They were like, I think you need to explain a little more. Or they were like, you're kind of redundant here. Let's shorten it up some. I mean, writing a how-to book is not easy. You know, this is cool too. Initial pose, sketch, great. Blocking in, kind of a big jump. And then what? It goes from here to here? What's that all about? And then basically, so it goes from here to the final. It's a lot of stuff we missed. So this is cool. We get the rough pose. He's blocking in some colors and stuff. Nothing about brushes and such. Again, putting in some highlights. And then we get to this, which is really a big difference. And then the final, missing stuff. And then just for some reason, here's Nebula without showing steps to Nebula. Yondu, you know, different one of the designers, which is cool. So, you know, you're seeing stuff. That's good. This is one of the better ones, but it's still leaving out certain specifics about technical aspects. Little Groot. Layering. Cool, we get into layering and texturing. I would like to have seen that from each of them because they're all different artists and they all have different approaches on how they do it. And then, so is this the final? If this is the final, cool, but then why is this being shown? Because this has nothing to do with over here. Beautiful piece just to look at. Now they're talking about keyframes. Keyframes are these shots that the artists will do from reading over the script, or they get a part of the script. And then this gives the director an idea of like, oh yeah, we got to shoot that and things like that. Okay, awesome. Where's the how-to part of it though? And then do's and don'ts. Okay, very cool. This is great from the Captain America Annual by Mike Zeck, except that was Wolverine, but a great homage. I mean, this is all great stuff. These artists telling you what you should do, what in a portfolio for character design. That's cool. And then they have the don'ts. You know, for their visual development department, you cannot heavily stylize. It has to be realistic. Don't forget to take breaks. I mean, that's cool. I remember Joe Kubert told us that, but okay. Don't get frustrated and give up. That's a big one when it comes to any art. Totally agree. Don't plagiarize, photo bash, or steal materials from other artists' work, which is true. Photo bashing is definitely a way to design stuff. If you're going to do it, you need to use photos that have no copyright or free copyright. So you can't get the artist, if they recognize their photo, can't come back at you. I tried doing a Superman design. This was years ago, digital painting, and I photo bashed Henry Cavill's head. I originally did the design with my own drawing of Superman's head, but this is so long ago. This is like right around when Marvel started doing this stuff, so like 15 years ago. And then I was like, oh, they always paint up the actors' faces, and they did such a great job. I thought maybe they just took a photo of the actor's face and drew over it and painted over it. So I did that with Henry Cavill. And I'll show it to you at the end of this video. And the painting is nowhere near as good as this, but I'm happy with it for the time I put into it and stuff. So, of course, continually practice. And then there's a glossary of terms, which is cool. That's nice. DPI, stuff like that, highlights, whatever. So, cheat sheet, story is king. Starting points for a character sheet. This is great. Great stuff to think about when you're designing any type of character. And then acknowledgements, which is always nice. And then we get to the end. So, I mean, that is the book. if you're an art book guy like me, I do think it's worth it. I know I was harsh on it, but it's because if it's a book that says how to, I want most of the book to be visuals and very good descriptions of what they're doing and the tools they're using and good step-by-step processes. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this book look. Here is the Superman design I was talking about. Thank you guys so much for watching another one of my book looks. Like, subscribe, and share. And go back, KOR-DRATH The Awakening. Guys, we are closing the campaign the week of February 10th. So the 10th through the 15th, that's a Monday through Friday, one of those nights, we will be in the closeout, doing the closeout of KOR-DRATH The Awakening. Go back it today. You will love this book. You can get the new second printing of KOR-DRATH The Reckoning with the new Budroot cover as well. Until next time, next week, have a safe week. Be cool, be kind. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.